Yo, what's up? My name is Believe. I am an Acolyte, natural born healer. I am on server 32 in the Beast Mode Guild. And the purpose of this guide is to teach you how to heal. It's not going to cover stats. It's not going to cover Melamons. It's not going to cover abilities and all that because there's plenty of resources that cover those. And I am going to put links in the description of this video so you can look at that and build your character accordingly. Um, but what I am going to do is teach you when and how to use these abilities and how to be a good healer and how to play. Okay? Because Acolyte / healer in this game can totally make or break the success of a dungeon. And if you're bad and you let people die, people are going to yell at you. It's your job to keep people alive. And you can't just put it on auto and expect that to work all the time. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to show is my general healing build here. I'm just going to cover this really quick. This is kind of my general loadout, meaning I run this basically for everything unless it's special content. So I run Purification by default because that does cleanses debuffs, and there's a lot of stuff that puts debuffs. I run Group Heal, and I always run Group Heal on every single build. It's probably the only heal that you will always have skill slotted no matter what. And then for third slot, I run Radiant Barrier. The only other thing you would want to run here besides Radiant Barrier is going to be Emergency or Divine Healing, which casts an emergency healing. But I typically don't use Divine Healing because it's just the synergy and the cooldown is just too long. And I'll kind of explain that a little more as I go into this guide. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to run a dungeon real quick. We're going to run a dungeon real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and explain why I'm doing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Before we do that, the only other thing I will go into is for my generic healing build. I'm running these talents for my generic healing build. Again, you can find this information online, so there's really no point, but I'm just kind of just showing this real quick. I haven't spent those because I'm saving to get this. But anyways, Melamon, there is no options for Melamon. Snow Leopard is what you need. Every other Melamon's abilities, they increase damage, will increase crit rate, or more damage, things of that. The Snow Leopard is the only Melamon that gives you haste. And haste is huge for a healer because, as you know, most of our basic attacks and passives do a lot of healing. Every time we attack, we do healing. So that's something important to know. All of your skills that are healing scale off attack. So that's kind of a huge benefit to this class, and it makes it easy for us to switch between being a damage dealer and a healer because you're going to stack as much healing as possible because your heals get stronger based off of your attack, as you can see here. Scales off your attack. Healing here, same thing, scales off your attack. Melamon, it's not optional. If you want to heal, your defensive ability is healing effect. It is not optional. If you want to be a good healer, that is what you run. And that is what you are going to run on every 3 Melamon. Healing effect. Okay? Because crit, like here's a good example. Crit, you can crit as a healer, right? But if we run crit damage, which a lot of DPS do, that does nothing for us. Because crit damage just will make our damage crit harder, but it will not affect our heals. So we can crit heal, but crit damage will not increase the amount of that crit heal. So that's why we need to run healing effect on all 3 of our Melamons. And that is why we run Snow Leopard. Okay? So let's explain how this actually works here. How we actually heal. I got my guild, Beast Mode. We're a great guild. You should join us. We're on server 32. Check us out. We got guides. We got all the answers to everything. We're like Jesus. Okay? So we're going to run this. Create a party. I got my family here, so we can run a group. Real easy here. I got that on healing for some reason. So let me invite my peeps. All right. So for this, I'm just gonna run my main regular loadout that I showed you. And again, Acolyte is the least friendly auto class in the game. So you do not want to auto stuff in the game. You will probably get people killed if you auto stuff in the game. So for this dungeon, I'm going to turn off auto just to show you. I'm just going to turn off auto and run some heals here. Now, the main things that's important is your cooldowns. Using your cooldowns and not at the same time, okay? What do I mean by that? Okay, when the boss is going to do a big damage ability, right? He's going to do this big poison damage ability. What I'm going to do here, it's not this horned edge, it's the poison one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use barrier on that, right? And see how I'm not using my pet? So he's casting poison, so I'm going to barrier this, and it will barrier everyone. So we will take significantly less damage. Now see how I'm not using my Melamon? Why? Because your Melamon is effectively a healer cooldown. Your Melamon increases your healing by a huge amount. So you don't want to run your barrier with the long cooldown and your Melamon at the same time, because you're basically running two very powerful cooldowns. And then when the next big ability comes out, you're not going to have it. So here we go. I'm going to run my cat here, pop my cat, and then pop my heals, and look how fast it's going to start healing people up. It's going to start topping off. Look at how people are getting topped off real fast here. Because I got my cat running. And it's giving me insane haste right now, which is allowing me to keep people topped off. Like I said, it functions as a healing cooldown itself. So if you don't have your Melamon up, then you want to use your big healing cooldown, whether it's your emergency heal, or your barrier, one or the other. But don't use them at the same time, because then when you need it, so I'm going to barrier this one because he's poisoning. So I'm going to barrier that one, and we should take like next to no damage because I barriered that. And then by the time he goes around to do his next big damage ability, my Melamon should be up again, right? The DPS here knows what to do, so they're attacking the boxes and whatnot. They're doing a great job. They know what to do. So again, I could use my barrier here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Melamon here for this next poison that comes out, because again, it is an effectively a healer cooldown. So I'm going to use my Melamon here. And that is going to give me so much fucking haste that I'm just going to sit here and be able to keep everyone topped off. Even if our tank is not even using their defensive on the hit. We still pump out enough healing to make it to where our tank doesn't even have to use a defensive on that main attack. As you can see, my Melamon by itself is enough to keep everyone back to full power. So this time my Malamon's down, right? So now I'm going to rotate back to using my barrier when he does his big poison attack that does massive damage. Here it comes, the poison attack. As soon as it casts, he's going to charge. So I'm casting it now. We got barrier up, and we're going to take very little damage from it. So that's how you heal. That's what you do. You rotate between your biggest cooldown, which is barrier in this case, and your Melamon. But you never want to use both at the same time. Because if you do, when the next big ability comes out, so like this poison, I'm going to use it here. So even though we're poisoned, my Melamon haste is going to still keep us good, even though we're poisoned. My Malamon's up. You can see it running right now on fire. And you can see it's doing plenty of healing, enough to keep everyone alive. And I didn't have to waste barrier on that. So you never want to waste your two biggest healing cooldowns at the same time. Because if you do, when the next big burst damage comes out, you're just going to die. Because you're going to be out of cooldowns. So that's a very good technique I use in a lot of dungeons and a lot of content. I rotate between my Melamon and my barrier. And that's why I prefer barrier before, you know, over the emergency heal, because the emergency heal has like a 1 minute cooldown and barrier only has like a 25-second cooldown. So you can just rotate back and forth. Very easy like that. So yeah, now big damage is going to come out soon in a second right now. And even though I don't need it, I'm going to run my Malamon anyways, just because he's about to die. And that's going to get everyone's health topped up again. Because right now we have Mega Haste. And we are just healing like a mofo right now. I'm not even going to barrier because he's dead. So that's basically the play style right there. That is basically the play style right there. You do not want to run your Malamon and whatever you have here. So whether you're running barrier or you're running divine healing, these are kind of interchangeable in that slot. These are your most powerful healing cooldowns. You're going to either run one or the other. You should be running one or the other every time, right? But never run them when you're running your Malamon, because your Malamon is a cooldown in itself. It will help you catch up on heals. If you fall behind on heals, your Malamon will give you a ton of haste and it'll get everyone's health back up. So it's like if you use your Malamon and you use barrier or you use divine healing, you're wasting 2 cooldowns. And they have long, you know, they have long cooldown times. So if you do that, then the boss hits you with another hard ability, you're probably going to die and fall behind because you just wasted your 2 best, strongest cooldowns at the same time. So that's how it works basically for a dungeon. You want to rotate back and forth. Don't ever use your Malamon and your barrier at the same time. Because if you do, then when you need your next healing, powerful healing output, you're going to be cucked and you're going to have nothing and you're going to die. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to go over is the guild boss. So for the guild boss, we're on the higher up one now. So a lot of people may not have this one. The guild boss is pretty easy. But for the guild boss, what I do here is basically we run 3 DPS for the guild boss. I say invite to you guys. We run 3 DPS for the guild boss. And then I have our DPS run full DPS spec, meaning no interrupt, no purge, none of that. So why? Because this boss does a stacking buff that if you do not interrupt, he gets a stacking buff. And if he gets too many of those casts off, he will kill you. So because of that, I run interrupt here. So you can't run cleanse and interrupt at the same time. So since I have this here, I have to switch this. It won't let you run cleanse and interrupt at the same time. So I have to switch this to halt. It won't let you do it. So now I'm going to run halt here. So I'm going to miss the first one because I thought it was saved, but it wasn't apparently. So what I'm going to do here for this is I'm going to go ahead and turn everything on auto except halt. But let me get the first interrupt. Oh, it's already messing it up. So that's cool. Anyways, turn off halt. So he's going to get another one off. So now you can see he's getting these stacks. He's got 2 stacks now. It's going to make him hit hard, but it's still fine. So now everything is going to go on manual except halt. So I'm just going to sit here as a healer and I'm going to do the halting because why should the DPS... So here we go. There he's casting it and I'm going to interrupt it. So why should the DPS, you know, go ahead and switch out one of their core DPS abilities? They're going to lose a lot more damage. So it's just not intuitive, right? And since the healing is very little, if you do the mechanic by interrupting it, halt again, it makes sense that I'm the one that does the halt here. So I just turn it on auto and just keep halt not on auto. That way my DPS can do as much DPS as possible and they never have to interrupt. There's no point in me not interrupt. I should be the interrupt because I do the least DPS and there's not that much healing. So that's how I run that. It won't let you run a dispel and halt at the same time. So that's something good to know. So look, I'll show you again here. I'll show you again here real quick. I'm going to leave this. As you can see, this ability, because it removes 3 debuffs, it counts as a utility. It counts as a countermeasure. See how it says countermeasure right there? So if, let's say, for example, I want to get rid of barrier and I wanted to run halt, it will not let me. See? It just excludes it. It will not let you run 2 utility type abilities. So basically what I do is I just take this cleanse. What you could do is take this cleanse here, right? And then go ahead and switch that to this heal instead. Our single target one, restoration. You can switch that to restoration, right? And then you can switch divine barrier to halt. So now you still got 2 very powerful heals. And you still got halt, where you can interrupt the boss. And this doesn't just apply to the guild boss. You know, there's a lot of dungeons that you need to interrupt. So this is a good idea to run something like this in any dungeon that you need to interrupt. Go ahead and stop being lazy, and you sacrifice one of your abilities to do the interrupt. Why? Because DPS is king. The faster the boss dies, the faster you win. And the shorter the fight. And the shorter the fight, the less mechanics, the less healing you have to do, the less chance someone's going to make a mistake, the less chance someone forgets to, you know, cast something, or the less chance you accidentally forget to interrupt. So it makes the most sense for you to run 2 heals and an interrupt. You should be the one that does the interrupt as a healer. Let your DPS load out all their DPS abilities, okay? So the last thing I'm going to cover here, because I've seen a lot of guides covering this, but not specific enough. So I have one more loadout here called Cheat Death, right? And you've probably seen a lot about this. But a lot of people don't necessarily explain why they run this loadout. And what they basically do is they run Turning Point, right? They say running Turning Point. But why do we run Turning Point? Why? A lot of places don't tell you why, right? You run Turning Point because for harder content. So like Echoes of War, right? Anything that's hard, anything that you feel you might die. So like Echoes of War or some of the harder rifts, anything you feel you might die in, you want to run Turning Point. And why do you run it? You run it to get to Unyielding State. If you read what it says, when taking lethal damage, you enter Invincible State for 10 seconds. It can only be triggered once for battle, but what that basically means is it's a cheat death. So if you would have died, instead you do not die. And for the next 10 seconds, you cannot die. And you have plenty of time to heal yourself back up. Now, here's the thing that I noticed that a lot of people don't talk about is you want to get to reset too, because look what it says. When you do proc Turning Point, so basically if you die and you cheat death, it resets the tactical skills on, it resets all the cooldowns and tactical skills. That is amazing. Because let's say, for example, you know how we just talked about having emergency heal, divine heal, how it's like a 1-minute cooldown and barriers like a, you know, a 30-second cooldown and all that. Well, if you proc a cheat death with Turning Point and you come back alive and you don't die, it also resets the cooldowns on that. So that could be insane. Say, for example, you're running Echoes of War, right? And you fall behind on healing. And then you pop emergency healing and then you get everyone back up. And then something happens, you know, you're not fast enough, you don't dodge a mechanic or someone else doesn't, and you die, boom, Turning Point is going to proc, and it's going to proc Unyielding State, making you invincible for 10 seconds, and then it's going to reset all your skills. So that means you're going to be able to, that 1-minute cooldown on emergency healing, on divine healing, with this, you could basically use that 1-minute divine healing spell twice in 10 seconds. Because when you do die and cheat death, it resets all those cooldowns for you. So not only do you not die, but you get all your most powerful abilities back off cooldown. Now, here's the most important thing. You want to stop here. You do not want to get final upgrade. Oh my God. Really, dude? Really? Okay, well, anyways. You want to stop there. You do not want to get final upgrade. And the reason why is, which I was going to show you right before the game, of course, had maintenance. If you get the ability final update or final upgrade in Turning Point, if you get that ability, if you read it, it says whenever your cheat death procs, after you're invincible for 10 seconds, you get a slight buff. But when the 10 seconds is up, you die. You die. So that basically is the exact opposite of the whole reason of running Turning Point. The whole reason of running Turning Point is if you make a mistake, you get a cheat death and you don't die and all your cooldowns come up. But if you actually go all the way down that tree and put your points into that ability, when you die and cheat death, you get a small buff, but then you die after 10 seconds. So you don't want to get that ability because it's counterintuitive and basically ruins the whole point of running Turning Point. If you take that ability and your cheat death procs, after 10 seconds, you still die. So what is the point? Like, what is the point of running cheat death if it only gives you 10 seconds and then you still die? So in the hardest content in the game, run Turning Point and do not get that last ability, because if you do, and you die, you're only going to stay alive for 10 seconds. Sure, it does give you power. It like boosts all your power for 10 seconds, but then you die after the 10 seconds is up. So to me, that just defeats the whole purpose. That defeats the whole purpose. The whole purpose of running Turning Point on hard content is so if you make a mistake, you cheat death and you don't die, and you can use all your biggest cooldowns twice in a row. Okay? So that basically covers everything that I wanted to go over. There's a couple more game modes I wanted to show, some other dungeons, but I'll say that for another video. I'm going to post a link to our Discord if you want to join. We post guides and updates and all that stuff there. And I am going to post a video link or a link to this website, which is the Boarhat GG. It covers all the builds, covers even if you want to have a DPS build, healer build, covers all that stuff. But like, here's a good example, right? Like I was saying about the cheat death proc, right? So say for example, you're a Jade priest and you're running the hardest content in the game. It'll tell you right here. Like it'll say, that you can run Turning Point as an option, right? Like it'll recommend running Turning Point on here. It looks like it actually doesn't on this. Oh, maybe because I pushed that. But anyways, you'll see guides that say run Turning Point, and that is fine. It gives you a cheat death. It's great, but again, don't get that last ability because then it makes your cheat death useless. So that's about it. Leave a comment if you have any questions or anything I didn't answer. But don't be lazy. Don't play on auto. If you're a healer and you signed up to be a healer and you want to be a healer, you have to play reactively and proactively. And that's just part of the game. You can't really auto it. I mean, you can, but it's a huge detriment to you and your group. So, hope this helps some people. And yeah, I'm going to put the links in the description to the useful information.